Welcome, everyone. Welcome to this space. So I have a couple decks here. The Sacred Geometry Oracle deck and the Luminaries Oracle deck. And I want to bring you into this kind of initiation of this channel of soul cultures and what does that mean. And I've been feeling a calling to bring that to life more. And so this is a space to cultivate that, to find insight with that and how that relates to each of us in this time and each of us tuning in at this time. And so specifically, I think for people who have lost connection with their ancestors and those ancient ancestors who are indigenous to different parts of the world and belonging within tribes, and this sense of soul cultures is wanting to come back to the identity of our souls and just this deep and ancient core of ourselves. And I feel like for me there's been a lot of grief and loss in that, and recognizing that in order to feel connection, to generate a culture, I can't do it by myself. And so I exist within this world of so many peoples. And yeah, so I do want to first acknowledge the lands that I'm on, the occupied lands of the Arapaho, Cheyenne, and Ute tribes who have stewarded these lands since time immemorial, and many other tribes who would trade through these lands. And as I occupy this space, I ask the divine love source creator to bring harmony between these lands and my ancestral lands, as I am existing in between all of those, and all of you and all of your complete and healed ancestors and the lands that they come from, to find harmony and resonance with the lands that you occupy and that you're on. And yeah, so we'll start out just to see if there are any messages coming through. For all of us gathered here right now, whenever you might be tuning in. Well, actually, I'm going to pull a luminary first. Divine love, source creator, above and below, higher selves, all four corners of the world, spirit guides of my highest calling, complete ancestors, directions of my complete ancestors, Elements of my complete ancestors, will you come into this space and fill this space with your love and guidance? Here on this land, with the sky above and the sea that surrounds Turtle Island, what message do you have for us in relation to this, as we're tuning into this stream of soul cultures, and what does that mean for us here at this time, where we are right now, receiving this? I have this image. The dawning. So this is a vibration of the number 11. Life renews itself from moment to moment. Accept your new growth with faith. Even as you push through the fog of uncertainty, passionately throw open your windows to the dawn. Live fully. Every moment counts. In a process of trust, cooperation, and resonant honoring of each other, I assist humanity to create through the human heart and the empowered self, using rhythmic wave formations emanating from the earth. I am the power of creation growing, forming, and emerging from earth through humans. So questions that you might ask, or that we might ask: what do I notice that is changing in the world and me? If I could see through what is unclear, what would be there? And applying this energy to our life. You are transforming. As you focus on dawning, feel yourself bursting into full bloom like a flower in spring. Allow your expanding energy to become its full self. Be with this self until it feels comfortable, almost familiar. That's interesting. It's talking about bursting into full bloom like a flower in spring. Because right now, where I am, the leaves are turning and they're starting to fall. And a friend of mine sent me a poem that they wrote about fall today, and it was talking about the maple tree and the essence of the maple tree being completely in its essence even after the leaves fall and she's standing bare, just fully in her essence still. That was a part of the poem that really grasped me. And in it, it was talking about her just being like totally naked and just like fully herself in her essence. And it's like, well, yeah, plants are in their essence as they bloom, as they wither, as they lose their leaves and are bare, or maybe they drop seeds, whatever their process is. All of those things are fully their essence, but even right now, in this like bare, naked, without the leaves, without all of the aspects of life and the fullness of life being there, like what's left. And I'm definitely feeling that right now here with you. Just trusting that the essence comes through, the essence of me, but also the essence of source and the great divine eternal endlessness that emergence, is what is, I mean, that emergence, I feel like, is what is going to, or has the capacity to generate soul cultures. And recognizing that if we are each in connection with our soul and divine, and moving from that space and emerging, allowing the emergence from that space and being, that's how we can come together. And for me, in what that, another way to say that could be, I guess for me as a really visual thinker, being open to this constant stream of vision, also words, poetry, what is emerging through the poetry of my heart. And right now for me, I could speak through that and what that means to me. Dear heart, as we're dawning in this time of generating soul cultures, do you have wisdom? Do you have vision? Do you have messages to share with our collective soul cultures tuning into this? To be here now in this moment, my love. Be here now as a ripened fruit. You are juicier than a cosmically aligned fruit, like the cosmic alignment of fruit. I'm seeing like an orange or a grapefruit, like a juicy fruit, biting into like a juicy fruit. Juicier than cosmic alignment is the ever emergence of your soul that is ever present. And as we are here now, what this looks like is an invitation to reimagine how to live and how to be, how to live together. The word communes is coming up, but I also know that that has like political resistance to what that could mean, but essentially seeing people engaging in specific activities and like group activities where we're reimagining how we want to generate culture together. And so what's ringing true for me is this sense as someone who works with textiles and fiber and materials and used art materials with reverence for their sentience and animacy and aliveness. Starting to recognize that in what surrounds us in our lives, and recognizing that even the landscape of suburbia, even the landscape of a big city, or even the landscape of like a beautiful mountain range, and then within that, all of the intricacies of how oppression with humans and peoples, and also the more than human world, the more than human worlds, the multiplicity of worlds, and how oppression shows up in that too. And what would liberation look like for each being, each material, each atom, each cell, to be seen for what they are, and to be acknowledged for what they are, and to have consent with how they want to engage? What would that look like in our hearts and in our minds, and how we engage with everything around us and within us? And is it enough to simply ask for consent? Or is it enough to meditate and sit in this space, build capacity to sit in this space of unknown until we do receive a clear feeling of how to move forward, or what to do, or what to engage with? And so I invite us all to imagine what that would be like. Recognizing the sentience in all matter. If everything is made of light frequencies, what does that mean to tune into that feeling and to open relationship and communication with that? Without pathologizing that action, because that has been pathologized. I believe in order to separate us from each other and ourselves, to separate us from ourselves, each other, and the more than human world. And so how can we move into a space? I have a friend who beautifully said, and we were talking about, what does decolonization actually look like to you? Because it's hard to imagine something that is reductive. It's I know I don't want this, I know I don't want to colonize anymore, but what do I want? What does that look like? And I think it's a process. And so what they were saying was that they were using the term cosmological rehabilitation, and to me that can mean so many things. It can mean relationship with the natural environment, outside, being outside with plants and animals and air and earth and fire and all of the elements, and also recognizing that I am, even as I'm inside, even as I read or write or make art, or even as I record this video using a camera that's made up of materials and resources that have been extracted from the earth, we are all still nature. And how can we shift our relationships into and policies, and just the way that we're I want to say govern our lives, but I feel like it needs to start within us in really small, subtle motions within our minds and within our relationships. So how can we do that? how can we bring that awareness into all that we do? And that's when I come back to listening to my heart, because the intelligence of my entire being, it's not just my brain, it's my whole body, it's my whole kinesphere around me, and my quantum entanglement with all of Earth around me and the cosmos and beings and spirit. And so what is this? I feel like my heart is where that meets and finds coherence, and that's what guides me. That's what I choose to guide me, because I feel like that is a compass that I trust, and that's what I have. And so to be able to listen deeper to the voice of my heart, the subtle little voice of my heart. Little subtle voice of my heart. Do you have any more messages? We want you to be free. We want you to see who you really are in the eyes of me, in the eyes of Creator, to open capacity. I'm like sensing these walls of limited beliefs and understandings, and seeing them just melt away. For me, it's been this sense of like recognizing what actually has been programmed, and through being indoctrinated into this world and society, and then what is left after that. And then this card just came up. This is the ecstasy card. What is left after that? The ecstasy of fully being allowed to emerge as we are, sonically, sensually. And I think part of these blocks that have been programmed are like this sense of fear. Like, what will happen? What will happen if everybody is in their ecstasy of emergence? I think there's a big fear around what that is, because there's been so many wounds around, or people have been wounded. And who we are, I think, because of systemic oppression, has been contorted and distorted. And I don't think it's the emergence of our ecstasy that hurts people. I think it's the control, and this idea that the dynamic of like the oppressed oppress, the oppressors are oppressed, And so, or the oppressed oppressor. So I mean, and then even in this emergence of ecstasy, it's like this fear of unknown. I have the void behind me, this circle that is a symbol of, I mean, it's like a black hole. It's like my pupil in my eye, what gauges the light that enters. It's also this womb space and like the cosmic womb of where creation emerges from. I'm thinking of a Hindu goddess. And now I'm thinking of how I was reading about the Celts. I was reading about Celtic cosmology, and I want to be able to like reference people's names that I'm referencing. The author was talking about how the Celts, I think I've heard that other cultures believe this too, how they believe that a new day, it might be in Judaism, but anyways, I was reading about how Celts believe that the new day starts when the sun goes down, and that as the sun is down at night is when conception for the new day, for the next day, is coming. And so it's like this percolating, forming. It's emptiness, but it's also like where things are forming and being conceived of. And I'm thinking of like conception in our dreams, conception in our intimacy, the fire that gathers family and kinship and community, and what happens in that conception. Because in that, it's also a process of transformation as the wood is burned, and also spiritually what is being released in each day or season or wherever we are. And then we're back to this naked tree that could be the wood for the fire that keeps us warm, the essence of that fuel that brings warmth. And this conception space, this imagination dream space where the wisdom of our bones can emerge, the wisdom of our neurons, the water that we're made of, all of the elements, our muscles. It's like this ancient but also present fiber that we are woven of and as. And so we, in that sense, we are our ancestors. And how in that, and then as we are our ancestors, how does our imagination inform us? How can we be open to that? Yeah. how can we be open to receiving this imagination and then breathing life into what it is that is actually emerging in our mind's eye instead of ignoring our dreams or visions. And this card, integrity, this is what fell out, and also ecstasy again. So integrity, to me, the energy of integrity is it's subjective to each person. I guess it could be objective to the eternal endlessness, the all-knowing. But subjectively, integrity for me is, as my awareness is what informs me and surrounds me, how do I integrate all of that awareness into how I move through life? To me, that's what integrity means. And there can be so many layers in what informs how I move and what I do. And at the same time, as I continue to expand, my awareness expands. And so does my integrity. And so to bring that into this context of what we're talking about with soul cultures and ecstatic emergence and the emergence of ecstasy, I think part of this integrity piece is knowing. I feel like part of what I've been doing so far in the reading is like clearing space to get to the core of like what are soul cultures, where do they emerge from, and how can we do that together. And through integrity, I feel like that's a big piece of it too, is recognizing that we each bring our own awareness into this work and into this space, and that is informed by our being, our complete being, our lived experiences, where we've come from, where we've originated from, and holding that awareness and knowing that as we engage in this work, that awareness will continue to expand. And my hope is and what I sense is like, well, coming back to this literal metaphor of a landscape of what surrounds us. I'm thinking of symbols, but also true essence. For example, like this void behind me, I don't know, it's like it's a circle, but as a symbol, it's a black circle. And contextually, on the wall, it could be like the yang energy, because when you look at yang energy, it's holding this black circle. And then it's interesting, I think it's, as I move through life and recognize symbols that surround me, I like to see how the scope and the focus is informing how that symbol is metaphorically and literally showing up for me. So if the yang symbol is like partially in view with the camera, but for me it's like this full circle on a white wall and the yang energy. So if I'm feeling into the symbol of a yin yang, I can also notice where is the yin symbol showing up for me. And the first thing that I notice is the lens of the camera. And because it's this dark circle, it's this dark, well, it's kind of like this shape. And then there's inside of it is the circle and the lens, but there's also this tiny white dot reflecting. And so it's like the yin holding the little yang. So for me, that can mean something for me and mean something different for you as the viewer. For me, looking into the camera feels like this. I'm looking into this womb space of what is being created, what is being conceived of as I am looking into the womb space. And then for you on the other side of the camera, how the symbol of yin yang shows up differently for you based on the context that you're in and how you're receiving this message. And so I surrender to whatever is being conceived of that I am meeting and that I'm speaking to. I get this sense that it's like soul cultures, the soul cultures being conceived beyond me. And as I reach out and meet them and breathe life into them, and having excitement and gratitude for the cycle of conception to birth to life to death, and the cycle happening. So what I was saying on the topic of symbols, having in the cosmology of our landscapes, to me this feels like part of the living landscape. Another part of it that goes deeper is like, what is the material of this circle? It was made from a table that I found at a scrap metal place. I was looking for like a metal ring for another project that I didn't end up even doing. It was going to suspend this like cloth shell that I wanted to make out of used materials, but I didn't do it, so it was like this metal ring, and then I ended up stretching this black piece of wool that I had. And so it's interesting that now thinking of how even that story that these materials contain in their relationship to me, like suspending the shell, this matter that's like formed through the breath of the ocean, is how I really feel into the essence of shells. I'm sure there's a lot more I could go into with that. A couple more cards just fell. So this green one is illumination. illumination. And this is celebration. I think I feel like we are in a celebration. I feel like celebrating conception that's happening and the illumination of this landscape, our landscapes. Yeah, to continue with, oh my gosh, I just have to. This is another card that's just, when I set the deck down, it was sticking up. This is Love Child. The celebration of the love child. And the blood that runs through our veins. Spheres of intention. And then we're back to ecstasy. So this is an open invitation for you to feel into the conception of your soul culture and what that looks like as we connect. As you connect to your landscape, as I connect to mine, as they find connection with each other. So that's the message that I have today, and now that Love Child's on their way, I'm excited to see what messages come through this as we bring more and show up with each other more. So I thank you. I'm still speaking into the camera, so I thank you for being in this tender space of conception with me. Holding this gentle space for that to happen through the action of being present with each other. May we listen to our hearts as we breathe life into this. Thank you.